Residents at the North Central Senior Apartment Complex at 1054 King Street in downtown Charleston are dealing with safety issues, health issues, and management issues. Today, I talk with someone who's advocating for those residents, community activist Tony Lewis, for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Tony E. Lewis. Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. It's always a pleasure gracing your presence.
I appreciate it greatly. Yes, obviously, you are a longtime community activist here in Charleston, and I know that recently you've been involved with trying to help some residents with a big issue in the north central part of Charleston. And apparently the elderly residents, along with other residents in the North Central Senior Apartment Complex located at 1054 King Street here, are, from what I'm being told, in need of assistance. Allegedly, there are numerous safety issues, health issues, and improper management of the property that currently exists. So when you hear this, Tony, where are you emotionally?
Well, I'm very emotional because, again, you got to understand, these are senior citizens who have put the work in all their lives, but they just want to live peaceful, comfortable, and safe. And they just have a lot of issues. The issues are, you have senior citizens who got walkers, canes, wheelchairs, and can't get in and out because the elevators broke for going on. Matter of fact, tomorrow, make it 2 weeks, and we had to have our City of Charleston Fire Department members come out and excavate them out of the property and take them to their appointments or wherever they have to go.
And I'll talk to you more about that in a second. But going back, Tony, to the North Central complex, their senior apartment complex, how many residents are there?
Well, give or take, I don't have that numbers right now, but I'm waiting on someone to send me directly that numbers, and I will, inform you about it, Mr. Washington.
Now, how many years have this been combined when you think of the safety issues, the improper management, and the health issues there?
4 to 5 years, Mr. Washington.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Now, as you mentioned, the elevator continuously breaks down.
Yes, sir.
So, how often does that actually happen?
Well, they told me, it often happened numerous of times, and they came by and fixed it, but it broke again. And as I said again, tomorrow will make it 2 weeks that the elevator was out of service.
So when was the last time the elevator was in service?
Well, I think memory served me well. I think they told me maybe about a month ago, really. Working well. Yes, sir.
And I understand that, as you mentioned, the residents need to get to dialysis for their appointments, but can't make it because of the inactivity of the elevator. So besides the firemen, when they can't be available, who or what are actually helping these people get down the stairs?
Well, the other residents come and assist folks try to take them down the steps. And that can be detrimental because all it takes for them to be unbalanced, fall, hurt each other, kill each other. Because when you cut wheelchairs, you're talking the weight of the individual, the wheelchair, and the person. Once they lose their balance, that's it. So you're talking about somebody can be detrimentally hurt physically or demise from it.
And you obviously, there are a lot of people with wheelchairs that live in that particular apartment. But what about people who are with walkers?
Well, there's a bunch of people living there with walkers too, sir. And again, all it takes for them to put the walker on and off balance, or either hit the step and bam, balance gone.
And we talked earlier about the wheelchairs, Tony, but what about, are there any residents with electric wheelchairs?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I give a ratio about 5%. Wow. Yes, sir.
And how long have those people been living in that apartment with those wheelchairs?
They were living in there. I heard a lady told me, said he was in this for 16 years. Wow. Her son, he's a grown man, but he's never got to grow. His body's like maybe I say a good 5-year-old. Wow. That's how his body is, and he's stuck in a wheelchair. And, so she have to have somebody help him, get him prepared for appointments and other things.
And you talk about that lady being there for 16 years. So how old is this complex?
The complex shouldn't be that old. I give or take about a good 10 years or something in that range.
Now, from that time to right now, Tony, are there any other issues that you've heard of personally?
Well, yeah, you have issues of folks coming in there and prostituting. You have guys coming in who has disease like AIDS and monkeypox. You have them going inside the apartments where the folks live and do what they want to do, defamating in the elevator when it's working. They're urinating on the floor. They got needles around the buildings. Wow. Inside, the club, they got one of the guys sleeping in a chair with all the excess food and the rats coming around. So,
well, let me ask you, how did they gain access into this complex, Tony?
Well, at the front door, they said when they first chained it up, it was okay, but somebody cut the chain or did something to get in there. And it was brought to the attention of Mayor Technobird. It was brought to the attention of Council Member Mitchell, Police Chief Reynolds and his staff, and then others, but nobody addressed the elephant in the room. But again, I said to them, I challenge all the elected officials from the mayor, council members, city, county, congressmen, representatives, senators, who all represent that area, knowing what's going on, and you're not coming out there addressing the elephant in the room.
Wait a minute. Well, then, who's talking to the owner of the complex?
Well, the residents were talking, not none of our elected officials or none of them, because as I say, I spoke to GEM when they had it, before they turned it over to Vista. And they were doing some things, but after they dropped the ball, and so they reversed the name to Vista. So I believe, I believe them, the same people, they're just taking change the name so you can kind of throw the heat off them. But as we say today, we motivate to educate nonprofit organization, Generation X, Ms. Deborah Johnson, and myself, Ms. Jackie, and others, Ms. Centurion, Ingrid Centurion, and Mr. Philip Johnson. We're not going to allow it, because we're going to be the watchdog for that area, not only that area, other areas too.
So, how long has this particular complex been under the leadership of Vista?
This got under Vista. It's not really fully under Vista. Vista just tucking it over, but they haven't fully gone in, tuck it over yet.
Now, are they actually having any issues with homelessness there?
Yep, they have homeless people sleeping in there too, sleeping under the steps, and doing all kind of foul things, And it's not fair to those senior citizens who have worked hard, like I said, and given to the system, and paid into the system, and they just wants to live safe, comfortable living. That's all they want.
Now, with all of these issues going on, Tony, are there any issues with cars being allegedly broken into?
Yes, sir. You have cars broken into. You got people's properties being, when the FedEx or anybody leaves something package, they take the package and go rumble through it and take it and go with their business, and it's not fair to them that they have to endure this kind of things, because, as I said to the folks earlier, I said, listen, everybody got a job to do. The landlord has a job to do in management, has a job to make sure the folks' properties are kept safe, sound for them, and the tenants pay their rent on time and keep the property upkeep.
So what is the average rent there?
I don't have that numbers, Mr. Washington, because it's HUD is helped because it's Section 8,
right,
and that's part of HUD. And matter of fact, we're going to reach out to HUD on that note too.
Now, going back earlier to talking about those, the management company that is, when was the last time they were in existence before they turned over to Vista?
Talking about GEM?
Yes, sir.
GEM, they were from, per se, I was told they took it over maybe about 3-4 years or so, because somebody else had it. I don't know the name of it, but somebody else had it. So all they're doing is turning it over. They're not resolving the problems and issues and concerns and safety of the residents at that property.
Now, how many employees actually worked with Jim prior to them turning over to Vista?
Well, it was one young lady who was a manager, and they had a maintenance guy around there. So it was just 2 on that property, but I don't know the numbers inside, because they're in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. I spoke to Liz, which is a person in Charlotte, North Carolina. Me and her had a conversation, and she turned me over to the manager here, and me and her spoke.
Now, Tony, earlier you talked to me about HUD being involved with this because this is technically a Section 8 property.
Yes, sir.
So how many residents have had to deal with their leases not being found, for instance?
Well, you have a lot of them, because I was told this morning by Ms. Darlene, she said that she paid her rent, money came out of her money. And when went on a vacation or something, when she came back, she came back, that she checked her account and they was talking about she stole all money. Not only her, it's others in there having the same problem. And I would love for someone to audit that facility, because it's not fair to those folks being deprived and gypped out of their money.
Now, how many rent increases transpired prior to the initial lease that was actually expired?
Say that again.
Yeah, how many rent increases happened before the initial lease actually had expired?
I think Ms. Darling told me this morning it was several. From my knowledge, that's what she said to me. Ms. Darling, who lives in there.
And how many residents are we talking?
I don't have the numbers, but I can get back to you. I was reaching out to someone to try to get the numbers, Mr. Washington. And hold on, Mr. Washington. You might have that number.
Okay.
Hold that for you. Just give me a minute. And I apologize.
Oh, no
apologize to you and the general public.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony.
Yes, go ahead.
So let me ask you, how long has this rent increase taken place without, any knowledge of it by the residents?
Say that again, sir.
How long has this rent increase transpired without the residents actually knowing?
Well, it was going on a long time, and it brought my attention that the numbers are not in there. See,
no worries.
We'll get that back to you guys, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir. We'll get it back to you.
Now, let me ask you this. Is there any contact information for the residents to actually get in contact with the new management?
Well, they gave them, Mr. Washington, when they gave me the numbers, I already have the numbers programmed on my phone. So when I saw the numbers, 704, 405, I said, hold on. Then it popped up with the names of the folks from that gym complex.
And speaking of the complex, have you been able to hear from, say, the city of Charleston officials?
No, I haven't heard from them. Not myself per se. I've never heard from them, Mr. Washington. And I'll be telling you a lie if I said I did. I didn't.
And what is the total occupancy rate right now at that complex?
Oh, I don't know right now, Mr. Washington. Because again, matter of fact, it's Liz. Like I said, Liz of GE. Right. She's the manager, but I don't have the numbers right now. But I was trying to get it now, Mr. Washington. But I will get back with you in due time and give you those numbers.
Yes, sir. And unfortunately, I'm running out of time. But to be fair, I would love to get the folks of Vista and Jim on to get their side of the story, as well as City of Charleston officials.
Hey, that's not doing nothing but doing the right thing. You're not listening at one side, you listen at some other side, so you can determine what's going on and how we can fix the problem. See, we can't throw shade on, throw blame on nobody. We got to get together and work out things so we can work out things amicably that everybody's satisfied. The residents, the management, all the officials, elected officials, whoever. And this is what it's all about. Making sure we take care of everybody. Again, it's not all about none of us. And again, as I say to you again, Mr. Washington, don't say, but it's not your area, not your problem. Yes, it is. Because one time to go get these votes, you come around these people and ask them, hey, can I get your vote? So that should be your problem.
Yeah, and I'll reach out to those officials and get their side of the story.
Yes,
but for right now, community activist Tony Lewis, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure being here.
Likewise.
Yes, sir.